The Reconquista Initiative presents Apologetics and Western Civilization. As a writer who wishes to support the West's re-embrace of the cultural principles and social pillars that made traditional Western civilization the best civilization that man has ever been graced with, but as a writer who also spends a great deal of time writing on the topic of Christian apologetics, a number of legitimate and interesting questions can thus be asked of my work. Namely, what do Christian apologetics have to do with helping to reestablish traditional Western civilization? Indeed, why spend so much time arguing about things that seem only indirectly related to the issue of fighting for traditional Western civilization, when that time could, allegedly, be spent more productively? And why the focus, in large part, on apologetics against atheism and secularism? Now, as stated, these are good and interesting questions, and they deserve an answer. And so, apart from the very obvious and very brief answer that one primarily argues for Christianity because one holds Christianity to be true, it can also be stated that the other brief answers to these questions is that the reason one engages in Christian apologetics is because Christian apologetics is integral to the survival of traditional Western civilization. That is why, in a nutshell, one argues for Christian apologetics. But as this short answer is likely to be unsatisfactory, let me provide some more detail concerning this matter. First, traditional Orthodox Christianity, in contradistinction to its modern progressive variety, which is essentially the undemanding spiritual secularism of this world, is one of the key pillars of traditional Western civilization. Thus, no Christianity means no Western civilization. Now, supporting this assertion is not the point of this essay, and regardless, supporting such an assertion would require an essay of its own. But let me nevertheless offer a few points in its favor. Consider that human beings are religious and transcendent-seeking creatures, so they will always seek such transcendence. Furthermore, civilizations, almost universally, are integrally linked to some kind of religious or higher ideology, and Western civilization's religious ideology has been traditionalist Christianity. Thus, arguing and reasoning for traditionalist Christianity, which is what apologetics does, is critical, especially since without a robust and intellectual form of Christianity being defended, Christianity will not survive. Indeed, for while rhetoric and emotions may move some people to embrace Christianity initially, a purely emotive and psychological style of Christianity will not be sufficient to sustain it for most people, and thus apologetics is a key component towards keeping Christianity viable as a worldview. At the same time, and alongside the point that Christianity is required for Western civilization, a case can be made, in my view, that a culture built on liberalism, materialism, progressivism, secularism, and practical atheism simply will not have the will to resist other cultures nor be robust enough to fight for itself, as evidenced, for example, by secular Europe's present demographic winter and their weakness in the face of a migrant invasion. And so countering atheism and secularism is also critical to aiding Western civilization. And since apologetics do indeed tackle atheism and secularism, then this is also why apologetics are highly important. Second, another pillar of traditional Western civilization is the use of reason and empiricism, something, it should be noted, which was practiced by Christian philosophers and the scholastics long before the Enlightenment. And since Christian apologetics is based on reason and empiricism, then engaging in Christian apologetics thereby supports this other pillar of Western civilization. Third, a man converted to traditionalist Christianity is a man who will quite naturally become a supporter of traditional Western civilization. And since intellectual apologetics not only creates converts, but often creates very influential converts, think C.S. Lewis, for example, then apologetics offers not only indirect support for Western civilization in this way, but can also be a force multiplier through the potential creation of converts who eventually serve to aid Western civilization to an even greater degree than anticipated. And so the value of Christian apologetics, both in the obvious sense of arguing for that which is true, and in the sense of being a tool which supports traditional Western civilization, cannot, in my view, be overstated. Now, from a personal perspective, note that the reason I argue so much concerning apologetics is simply because I have an aptitude for it, as well as a great interest in it. And indeed, not only do I have an abiding interest in this field, but I also believe that I have a number of unique and important contributions to make to it. For example, and these are just a few brief examples, I believe that we all have an incorrect view of the issue of how the burden of proof is determined, and that atheism is a wholly irrational view which undermines itself, and that nearly all of the objections against Christianity can be quite easily answered in certain unanticipated ways. Furthermore, while I find that there are many good people arguing for Western civilization from non-apologetic angles, and thus those other fields are saturated, I find that a great deal of modern Christian apologetics, though excellent, is nevertheless repetitive. And since I believe that I do indeed have some novel items to add to the field, this is why I write on the topic of Christian apologetics to the degree that I do. And so, the long and short of it is this. Engaging in Christian apologetics is vital to Western civilization because Christianity is vital to Western civilization. And apologetics are vital to the maintenance of a robust form of traditionalist Christianity. And from a personal point of view, I engage in apologetics because I believe that I have something unique to add to the discipline. Now, whether or not that is actually the case is something for you to decide as you continue to engage with my work. Please subscribe to this channel, and if you wish, please support it either through PayPal at reconquistainitiative.com or through Patreon at patreon.com/reconquistainitiative. Thank you.